Hello and welcome to another episode of the Illimitable Experience podcast. If you are watching the videos, like the videos. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, do subscribe to my channel. कर लो यार, like, share and subscribe. ये तीनों चीज करने में कोई cost and all नहीं है. It's free, and it's also we are giving out very valuable content, and it's good for learning as well. With that, today we have as our guest Vani Savani, who I've known since 2015 or 16, I would say. And again, this is going to sound repetitive when you start listening to our episodes, but again, we drifted in very different directions in terms of our career. And yeah, that's it. How are you, Vani?
I'm good. Thank you, Manan, for having me here as your guest. So I'm very excited to be here and speak about my experience, my life experience.
I'm glad you accepted our invitation, and you're excited to come, because what happens is, we being in such different directions, yet we are able to meet and talk something. It means a lot to me that you have come today, and we'll be talking about your life. So Vani, we have known since we were pursuing CA, and I became a lawyer, and you chose a field that is not pursued by many, or it is not popular in the country, I would say. You're a language teacher. You teach people French and Mandarin. So can you tell me, how did you uh, make this shift?
Well, this shift was really difficult for me initially because as a teenager, from my friends or my family, or in general, I had always observed that people who choose commerce have only few limited options, and the best option being CA. So in that case, like even I had chosen CA without realizing what it actually means, and what exactly I was supposed to do after becoming a CA. So it was just I just went with the flow at that time, and I would say it was kind of a peer pressure because everybody around me only did CA when they chose commerce. So I didn't really look up at other options other than pursuing CA. But as I started with this course, and I realized that this is not something I'm actually enjoying, so I started CA post 12th standard. So before that, in 11th standard, just as a hobby, I wanted to learn a foreign language. So I chose French because I had never studied French in school back then. So I chose French just as a hobby, and I started learning, and I enjoyed it so much that I had done completed two levels back then in 11th grade. And after that, I took a break because we had to study so hard for pursuing CA. Then later, as I realized that I'm not enjoying, French was like a backup option. I never thought of it as my career. So after I did not clear IPCC after my second attempt, I was so frustrated at that time, and I couldn't make a decision that whether I want to continue this or I want to, pursue something else. That moment, like that phase, was very critical for me to make a shift. And you won't believe, it was just like 1 week before my IPCC exam. My exam was supposed to be in November, and I had studied the entire year for appearing for this exam. 1 week before the exam, I made a decision that I am not doing it. And of course, it wasn't easy, like I told you. It came, I came to that conclusion after a lot of, you know, brainstorming, overthinking, and finally I decided that I'm not doing it. And I think it was the best decision I ever took at that time, because then I actually opened up a new world of possibilities, literally, because I never imagined there are so many options. Because like it was like we were blindfolded. So after taking that decision, I looked up at French, which was actually my hobby, and thought of it as my career. So I decided to pursue the levels further. Then my journey as a language teacher started. So I did not even think that what are the possibilities of having a career in this field, because it was very new at that time, and still I think there are very few people who pursue language as a career. So then I decided, okay, let me begin with this and then I will figure out, because I knew that I can't figure everything out at that particular moment. So I started with it and I just went with the flow. And then my life completely changed, literally, because then I like started enjoying the work I was doing, the study books, or everything. I used to listen to French podcast, watch French movies, watch French series. So then it became all the more interesting. And of course, I was doing something I loved. So that made me even more confident as a person. Then I also decided to learn another language after I finished all the levels in French. So I wanted to choose an Asian language because I already chose one European language. So then I started with Mandarin. And like everybody knows, Chinese is one of the toughest languages, because their entire like system is so different than English or European languages. They have characters. So like learning an entire new language with a different script is actually not easy, but I was passionate about it, so I could do it. And I'm still doing it. I mean, I'm still pursuing my level in Chinese. So that's how my journey as a language expert started, which was a decision to shift from CA to something which I really loved. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's how it started.
When you talk about the switch that a person has to make from one career to another, I can imagine the stress and the overthinking that you talked about, that you went through. Reason being because you were in a college. I know which college you were in, but I don't want to name the college, where everyone is pursuing CA.
Exactly.
Exactly. And
they call it
probably
they call it the CA factory, because everybody, they in the class the teacher has to ask who is not pursuing CA, because out of 100 students 95 would be doing CA. Only the five people who raise their hand are unique, like they would choose
they will
dare
do
to
some.
choose something else.
Yeah, I mean, and being in such an environment where the entire college and probably even the your peers, majority of the peers were pursuing CA, and then to say no, this is not for me. I'm not going to pursue it anymore. It shows the strength that you had to to make that switch despite so much of pressure. And turns out your decision turned out to be good for you only. That's great. So when why did you choose French? Was already being learning French when you were in your school the reason to choose French, or you find French? What is special about French that attracts you to the language?
So the thing is, I never learned French in school. In French, I never opted for any foreign language. So in college, when I started, like when I wanted to do something different, I chose French because French is like, at that time I didn't even know much about it, but I always thought that this is such a sweet language. And it sounds so sweet when you listen to it, the words. And of course, when you see movies and series which have those Parisian feelings, like, so all that made me quite fascinated for choosing French. And after I got involved, language is not just about, learning grammar points or learning vocab. It is much more about discovering a new culture. So not just by learning a language, you not only learn how to speak it, but you also learn how that culture was evolved. You learn a lot about the people who live there, their traditions. So there is so much more involved with the language you learn. So I always tell my students that, don't just learn a language for the sake of speaking. You have to get immersed in it, and you have to go to the core of it to, actually understand and feel that language that you are speaking. So that I got for the first time, that feeling I got for the first time from learning French. And I really enjoy teaching it also, because I want to share everything that I have learned to my students, so even they can, experience the same kind of feeling that I got after learning a foreign language.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
like you said, the switch was not easy, but I would like to mention that it it happened with the support of my family, because they were constantly there with me. They did not force me to do CA, or they did not force me to do anything that I didn't want to. They left it completely on me, that you choose whatever you want to do. It is your life, you make your decision. They were there to guide me, but they did not force me. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I could make that switch. So I'm very grateful to, have such people around me who understand me, because in those teenage years, you are on your extremes. So you need somebody around you who can understand you and guide you on the right path. So in my case, I had my family around who supported me completely at that particular point. So that is the reason I could do that swiftly, the shift.
Yeah, this point that you say that, you need to have those people, particularly parents, as your encouraging figure, because these are the kind of decision when you're making at 19 or 20, it seems like it seems like the end of the world. Okay, if I don't justify my own decision, then I'll continue to fail for the rest of my life. So even with that, people, parents have to be like encouraging, no, it's okay, it's your decision, something good will come out of it. And we can see things are coming good for you as well. When you say that French is a lovely language, if I'm not wrong, it is also called the language of love, right?
Exactly. Yes. True.
And
It's one of the romantic languages of the world, most romantic language. If you listen to all the love quotes or the love sayings, you will fall in love with the language. I'm so
uh,
sure.
and then even the country, as when France as a country has been marketed as the what do you call it, the love destination, or where people love each other a lot and there's a lot of romance, that kind of. That's true. I've been living here since 1 year, and I understand that the language is so important. And when you talk about that, the language, if, how should I put it, we get in language is so important to know the culture as well, because see, French is, if I'm not wrong, it's a soft spoken language, right? But when it comes to Arabic, it's not soft spoken. So it tells the vibe of the people as well. Ki you cannot be, oh, salam alaikum,
Ah,
how are you? Cannot do that with Arabic, or you have to be salam alaikum, kaifa halak. You have to
correct.
be very loud and aggressive with the way you talk. So it tells a lot about the people as well. Because if someone who is does not know Arabic comes to this country, and if they hear two people talking at such high pitched voice, they'll be like, why are they fighting? But that's not the case over here.
Correct.
Vani, where this language course that you have done, uh, is there an institute which where you have graduated from, or is it like a certification course? What is it like?
Yeah, so basically, I did my French diplomas from Alliance Française de Bombay, which is the official French government recognized institute in Bombay, where you learn the language. And then I also appeared for the international exams, which is called DELF and DALF. So these certificates come directly from the French Education Ministry, and once you are certified with this certificate, like this particular diploma, it's valid for lifetime. And wherever you go, like either Canada or a lot of countries in Africa also have their official language as French, or you go to France, these certifications are very helpful. So like I get students who want to fly to Canada, and
Hmm.
there few, like not few, a lot of companies have the requirement of they should at least know basic French, because
French,
in
right?
Canada also official language is French. So
Hmm.
for that reason also a lot of students want to learn French. So there are a lot of reasons for learning a foreign language. Even from career perspective, I feel there is a lot that you can achieve if you know one additional language. Like you said, if you are living in Dubai, if you know Arabic, of course it's going to be an add-on, and
Yeah, I
you
know.
will have an upper hand over others who don't know Arabic. So the country where you live in, so in that particular place, if you know the local language, is of course going to make a bigger impact. So that is why a lot of people who fly to Canada, they fly to France for the first time, then they want to learn French. So that would be helpful for their stay over there.
Hmm. Right. So now you are a completely certified French teacher, or there are few exams or levels left to be done?
So yeah, so I have done my levels in French, but I have also pursued a course which is called Professional French. Now this is especially for teaching French. Now I know the language, but now I am learning how to teach the language. So I just finished that course this year in June. So that is also certified from CANED. CANED is again French Education Ministry, but this is for distance learning. So that also I pursued because now I am expanding my own venture, Vani Language School. So if I am teaching someone a language, I should be personally certified
To
to
teach the
do that.
language.
So that is the reason I opted for this course as well, so that if I want to grow my venture ahead and I want to expand it, then I should be qualified enough to do that. So
Wow.
that is what I've done. So this is in terms of language, but other than that, I have also done my master's in economics from Mumbai University after
Wow.
graduation.
So you have tried to maintain the balance of having a traditional education and having unorthodox education as well. Wow.
Correct.
Can you tell me about the Vani Language School? When did you establish, and how? First, tell me about your when was it established? When did you come up with this idea of starting a language school?
So I started teaching since 2015, 15, I think. Yes, since 2015. Immediately after we graduated, no, after we completed our 12th grade. So I had already done 2 levels by then in my 11th standard. So immediately after my 12th, we had a bit of time in between before I started CA and before after 12th exam. So in that time, I decided, like, my tuition teacher, she told me, Vani, you are so good at French. Why don't you just teach some of my students? I'll give you one batch. You start with it. So I
Wow.
was like, okay, I'm free right now. Let me do that. So I started at a very young age, like I was 17. I was only 17, and I started with a small batch of 6 to 7 kids who were in school. So this is how I got involved in teaching. From this was just as a hobby. My teacher told me that I'm giving you a batch, you just start with it, because these are all basic books that they refer, and I'm sure you will be able to teach them. So I started, and that's how, like, I really enjoyed, and I am very fond of kids. Like, I love being around kids. So I started teaching them, and the more and more I took their class, I enjoyed it more than I imagined. So then after some time, I took few more batches, and I took few more batches. So then this is how it started, expanding. And then after some time, I once I finished all my levels and everything. And of course, thanks to lockdown, because in lockdown I realized that, only physical presence of students is not limited. Like, teaching is not limited to physical presence. I expanded in different countries. Now I have students from Dubai, Canada, USA, Ireland. So, now my, like Vani language school has expanded to so many boundaries, and I'm so glad, because I honestly did not imagine that it would grow so fast. I started, as I told you, like a small batch of 7 to 8 kids, and then it now, if you look at the number of students, there are so many students whom I did not even think that I would meet, because they all live in different countries. So thanks to lockdown, because you know everybody's been criticizing COVID, but for me it's really been like the other way around, because
Blessing in
I have
disguise.
yeah, blessing in disguise, because I have learned so many new things, and I have grown in so many different ways I did not imagine. So if you say, the like start of Vani language school would go back to 2015, but I like officially named it, and I promoted it I think 2 years back, when like right before lockdown, but approximately 2 years back. So I got like a proper name for it, and I marketed it well. So that's how it began.
I mean, this journey is so pleasing to hear. At the same time, you understand the challenges as well. See, first, when you say that your teacher told you to teach, asked you to teach the students, it tells that first thing that you are really good at what you are doing. That is why she had that confidence and faith in you to give you a batch. Number one. And the way you expanded it in the last 1.5 year, because I was on quite a few times, so twice or thrice I saw a few your post where you had posted, okay, my students from America, my students from Ireland. So I thought, okay, they might be some relatives of yours, and that is why you're teaching them. But to expand it in different countries at such an early stage, And this is a huge feat. In fact, I mean, hats off and credit goes to you for putting in so much effort in this venture, I would say, that you're doing. Amazing. It's truly inspiring to see that, the traditional careers like CA, MBAs are not the only careers, but you can expand your horizons to other countries as well. Amazing.
Exactly. And even it came as a surprise for me. I mean, people won't believe this, but honestly, this is coming right from my heart, because I did not imagine it growing so fast. And this is not only limited to kids, even adults. Like, I've had batches for adults also who are willing to learn. So, of course, it's always a lot more fun to teach kids, because
Yeah,
they
they're
they all live
playful.
in different country. They live in different countries. They have a different perspective of learning. Their learning pattern is different. So I have to modify my teaching pattern also, because in India. If I'm teaching a particular topic, it's different. And if I'm teaching the same topic to another kids from another country, it's different, because
Mm.
their grasping power is different. They are because right from the beginning, if you talk about US, in US up till like the age of 5, they don't go to school. After 5 they go to school, and
Mm.
after that like they don't have a lot of writing work. In India, students are bombarded with writing work. So
Writing.
when I have to teach something, same topic to them, they don't really have that habit of writing. So my teaching pattern has to be modified according to the region I'm teaching. So if it is Canada, it is different. If it is Dubai, it is different. If it is Ireland, it is different. So according to the region, according to the students, I have to modify. So that was a learning for me as well, because in India we are used to one particular pattern of teaching, but in other countries, even the parents approach is different than in India. So
Mm.
I mean, I don't want to compare it, but I'm just saying it is different. So from a teacher's point of view, I think it is important to upgrade your skills. It is important to add a lot more fun element in your teaching to grab the attention of the kids, because kids these days are very they they are very like they don't have that kind of focus until and unless they are really interested in it. So if you want to get that interest in the kids, you need to make them enjoy the language. So enjoy the learning in general. So I feel that I want to teach a language, because language is not easy that you will learn it in 1 week or 1 month.
Mm.
You need to be patient. You need dedicated time and effort from both the kids and the
Teachers and
teacher.
as well. Mm.
So yeah, so I always make a point that I add fun element. So I would, like, instead of giving them a writing assignment, I would instead say, okay, if we learned like a body parts today, for example, then I would say, okay, this is a song for body parts. What you have to do is you have to dance and sing this song and make a video of it. So I would try to give them like a fun thing. If they learned ABCD today, I would say ki acha, don't write it, make a video of you singing the ABCD song in French. So that way they will enjoy it and they will learn it. So like I keep giving some activities, or in the class we will uh, like recently we had Bastille Day, which is French National Day, on
Mm.
14th of July. So on that day, we didn't study anything in the class. I want to break that typical thinking that study means you have to sit in the class, you have to be sincere, and you have to, like, you know um, follow the instructions and do everything as planned. Studying has to be fun. I believe that, kids should enjoy what they are learning, and they should learn what they enjoy. That's how it goes. So if this happens, then of course there is no limit to what they can do, because this I have learned from my personal experience. When I chose to do what I love, I certainly grew. And when I was doing something I didn't like, I was in my cocoon, and I was
Cocoon.
just like under the shell. I was not using my potential to the fullest. So I don't want my students to suffer that. So I always make sure that they enjoy whatever I'm teaching or they are learning. So that is something I want to change, and I want to make that shift in the perspective of parents also. So they might think ki, oh, she's not giving anything to write, she's not giving any homework. But it doesn't mean homework has to be something that you write, and homework has to be that, oh, sit and write this 10 times. That's not how, you learn. I want to make them enjoy it. So now my kids will tell me that, Madam, this time please make us give us one assignment to sing this song. They will learn rhymes, and they will want to, make a video of it, or they want to dance on that song. So that way they will remember also, and they will enjoy also. So like I want to merge those two things.
This process seems so tedious because it is not easy to make someone interested in anything easily, because you have to
Correct.
chalk out everything to the most intrinsic detail of that person and the environment that person has grown in. Because just like you said, in India it is all about going to class and studying and all that. When you say that USA has a different approach and Ireland has a different approach, so it's really difficult to gain that attention from the kids, particularly when you're dealing with the kids. When somebody is adult, I can say that, responsibility hai to log kar rahe hain, to put it in very
Ah,
simple words. But kids,
correct.
they don't have any responsibility. They have to enjoy it. So even the things they are learning, that has to make them feel that they are enjoying it.
Right.
Wow. So when you say that your the kids that you're teaching are in different countries, so are they Indians only in different countries, or they are the natives of those countries as well?
It depends. Like I've had a lot of students who are like born and brought up there, but their
Hmm.
origin is Indian because their parents
Hmm.
are Indian or somehow. So somehow they are related, but that doesn't make any difference because they
Okay.
are born there, they are brought up there. So everything they have going on there in their mind is
It's
completely that culture,
country based.
because
Correct.
yeah, country based, so it doesn't really make much
Hmm.
difference. And most of the students that I have, they are all born and brought up there only. If they are kids, if they are adults, then there are a few who went there for study. Like I had a student in Ireland who was Indian, but she went there for studies. In Canada also, I've had people who studied French with me, and now
Hmm.
they flew to Canada. So
Okay.
like it depends, like there's a variety over here.
Hmm. How difficult, or what's the difference between teaching French to an adult and French to kid? Kid, you already explained how you work with them, but adults, how different is it?
Now see, for adults I get two two reasons why they want to learn a new language. One is just as a hobby, they want to utilize their time to learn something new. And second is when they when they
Career
want
growth.
to learn a new language, especially for their career growth.
Mm-hmm.
Like I told you, if someone's going to France for their further studies, then they need to know the language, which will
Mm-hmm.
make it easier for them to stay there. Or if someone wants to settle in Canada, then for their immigration process and all of that, it makes it easier if you know French.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
either they learn it because it's a requirement, or they learn it as a hobby. If it is a
Mm-hmm.
hobby, then it becomes easy, because they go with the flow. But if it is a requirement, then there are time constraints that they need to learn it within a speculated time, because they have to fly within a specific time, so they
Mm-hmm.
don't have much time. And for language, it's not like I told you, you have to be patient. So you can't learn a language just in a short period of time. So in that case, it gets difficult for me also, and for the students also, when they have a very short duration. But I think it's fine with me also, because for adults, then I have a different strategy. So for adults, I make them watch French movies sometimes in the class. We have French movie days. So we watch Harry Potter, or we watch like French series in the class. So it's not always that we study. So in the class also, every last 5 to 7 minutes, no, we we do something fun. We either we do role play activities, or where they get their conversational skills developed. So for adults, we usually try to do role play activities, like, okay, you're going to a supermarket and you want to buy something, so I'm going to be the seller, you're going to be the buyer. Or you want to visit a friend's wedding and you have to buy some new clothes. So
Mm-hmm.
come on, go to a shop and buy the clothes for the wedding. So that way they develop their conversational skills also in any language. So for adults, I usually ask them to do role play. Then we watch a series. Sometimes we listen to French songs. I ask them to listen to French podcast. So all these things are helpful for adults, so they also develop interest. Then I ask them to download a few apps for French, like there is one called RFE, which
Mm-hmm.
is French radio. So for adults, I would recommend them to listen to these kind of things, or read news in French. So this way, that would get them more interested and make them stay connected to the language. Because after learning also, you need that connect with the language, because every day you won't find someone who would speak in French with you. So some way or the other, you have to stay connected with it to remember and to retain the language. So these are the strategies that I tell them. And one very interesting thing that I did personally when I was learning the language was I changed my phone language to French. So everything
Oh, ah.
everything that I see on my phone, whether it is settings or Wi-Fi, or photos, everything is going to be in French. So that way, if I don't understand something, I'm immediately going to go to the dictionary to see what this means. So that way, my
Ah.
vocab also improves. And plus, I will stay connected. Acha, I know ki telecharge means to download. So these words normally I wouldn't know when I'm
Hmm.
studying from the book. But now, since my phone is translated to French, of course, that
The
vocab is automatically there in my head.
so I am thoroughly enjoying the process. See, I I haven't learned French at all. Okay, I'll be honest. A little bit of Arabic when I was in Dubai in between 2005 and 2008. A little bit of that to only
Hmm.
school level. But you are making it sound so interesting that I'm inclined to, to learn French only for the sake of learning. It does not matter what is the future outcome of it.
Oh my
Oh,
God, then you're most welcome to Vani Language School.
oh
This feels
wow.
like I'm promoting myself. No.
Oh my God. No, man, it. See, this is not only to, see, I cannot lie. I'm a person who cannot lie. So I'm not saying this only for, okay, to make you feel good over here. I am thoroughly enjoying what you're saying because I see we both have studied in India. Okay. What have we studied? The way have we studied is what you need to have book, you need to have pen, you need to have papers and all the different types of stationery. That is your right, learning aptitude. But this why you're saying that when you were learning French you have to change the language in your phone also to French. So because see, phone is something that like everybody has now, and it is constantly 24/7 for with you. So it, wow. So with adults it is more.
That I did on my own, and then initially few days I literally felt so lost in my own phone that what, where is this? So like, basic things, but when you want to search something particular in the settings or somewhere, and I couldn't understand because I was still studying at that time, so I couldn't understand. But that helped me look in the dictionary and then remember that word ki, okay, this means this. So next time if somebody would ask me, I know, I was like, just say. It's there in
Wow,
my phone.
amazing. So with kids it is mainly to get them intrigued to learn the language without any outcome.
Right,
Right. But with
correct.
adults, it is more application based. That just like you said, role play. What is role play? It is like a real life situation, but in this class. Wow.
Hmm.
This I when you say that you want to break that stereotype of teaching people, that it's not only classroom based. I think you have already broken that glass ceiling. I'll tell you why I felt that
Hmm.
when I'm talking to you. Because see, what is the life of a teacher? Let's take a traditional teacher who's teaching in a school. What is the life of a teacher? The syllabus is same. Okay. The portion probably changes, but and the students change every year, you know
Hmm.
so as such there is no growth for a teacher because it's the same what you're learning, but it's just you're imparting to a different audience at the end of the day.
Correct.
But
Hmm.
with the adaptability itself is so, you're so adaptable to teaching this different age group. I can see that you've already broken that the way of teaching, and you are not even feeling bored to teach. कि यार अरे यार वापस इनको यही सिखाना है. No, that's not the case. If there is a new challenge to teach some person in a new manner, you are always up for it. I'm going to make that person learn French very not quickly, I would say, but thoroughly, so that the person does not face that difficulty in French. So it's
And
amazing.
I think this is important in every every career, I think, or every aspect of life, because if you don't upgrade yourself, you're not going to grow. So to grow, you need to upgrade yourself. You need to learn new things and become more adaptive to your surrounding. So in this case, I have students from different countries, so for that reason I have to adapt, or I have to become flexible in molding my teaching styles, or becoming more friendly with the kids of other culture. So in that case, I'm doing it in this manner. For other careers, it might be in some other way, but it is very important to upgrade your skills every now and then. So that is why I always tell even my adult students who, there's no age barrier for learning. Learning never stops. So even if you are 60 or you are 5-year-old, the learning is going to be same for you. Like I've found students who are in their 30s, like they are married, they have kids, and they find it very difficult to take out time for themselves. So I often tell them that whether you have responsibilities, whether you have work, or you are very busy and occupied with everything that's going on, but you have to take out time for yourself to upgrade your skills. Only then you will find a change in your life. Like, if you do something new at this particular moment, after some time you will notice that there has been a change. So to get that change, to get through that change, to see that newness in your routine, you need to bring that take that effort to uh, learn something new, and break your routine. It doesn't have to be mainstream what you do every day. You have to break that
Hmm.
monotonousness in your routine. Only then you will learn something new. That's what I personally believe.
No,
And
that is 100% true. You know, that is true. There is no doubt about it. I mean, there was a time, probably in our parents' generation, that they were okay with doing one thing for the rest of their life. You know, the same monotonous
correct.
routine every day till the time they're 60 or 70. But with our generation, it's not that we don't want to work hard. We want to work hard. At the same time, we want to upgrade. We
Hmm.
cannot just work hard at just one thing and in a very monotonous manner, because I don't think it's going to fetch results in the long term. Probably 5 years it will fetch you the results, 7 years, probably a decade, the best case scenario. But more than that, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to just stick to just one routine for the rest of the life.
And not just for from career perspective. Of course, perspective is also important, because it's so competitive around that you have to get better at whatever you are doing. Only then you will be in that zone. But of course, if you don't want to be in that competition, I personally feel that one shouldn't be in that
Hmm.
shouldn't have that mindset of competitiveness, because then you don't focus on your own self. So what I mean to say is that if you want to see a change, then you this is not only for career perspective but also for your personal growth. That like, for I'll just give you one simple example. I started like, I realized that okay, during lockdown I'm not doing any physical activity. I don't have to go to office, or even my classes are online, so it's only through laptop and I'm not moving around. So I decided, okay, chalo, let me do something for fitness. So I started with yoga. So like, I started with basic yoga. Every day I used to do for 20 minutes or 30 minutes max. And now, after like a couple of months, I see myself, there has been so much of change in my own body. Like, I am understanding it better now, because earlier I never paid attention to this particular phase, but I broke that monotonousness. And I decided, okay, chalo, now my routine is the same over the last few months since lockdown started. So I want to break this. So I started with this. It's a very simple thing. Like, I started with
Hmm.
just 20 to 30 minutes of yoga and like some meditation. And that brought so much change in my overall perspective also. How I'm spending the entire day. So it's important to break that routine to get to something better. That's what I feel.
For people who are listening to this, if you want to know the benefits of doing yoga, listen to episode number 10.
Yeah.
uh, Vani, what are the when you told me that adults come for only two purposes, either for hobby or for career expansion, in what way does learning a language, uh, help one expand their careers? No, let's take. I mean, I can understand the people who are going abroad. It is like obvious that they have to learn, but for someone who is in India, who is working who is working, and does not have he or she does not have any plan to fly abroad. So for them, what would you say that how is language beneficial for career expansion?
You can take my own example. I'm right here in India I learned the language, and you know how I'm doing right now. So currently I am working at a French MNC. So a lot of foreign companies who come to India, they they tend to hire people who know their native language. If it's a Spanish company, they would want someone who can speak Spanish and the Indian language, like English and Hindi here, which are two dominant languages here. So, they would tend to hire you if you speak their native language also. And apart from MNCs, I think there are a lot of other opportunities also for translation, for there are a lot of books, there are a lot of series which get translated to foreign languages, or the series which come from foreign languages get translated to English or Hindi. So, for those cases also, if you know a foreign language, it's additional and it's helpful, even for working in embassies, even for working in government organizations like consulate, or these places, they would hire you. Of course, you would need one additional degree, because language alone wouldn't help you so much if you want to go in a particular field. But if you for example, if you're a lawyer and you also know French, then you can get easily placed in a firm which is hiring lawyers, and it's a French firm. So you are matching both the requirements of knowing a foreign language also and knowing your job also, because you've already studied that through. So
Mm.
there's a lot of scope here also in India, because I have observed, like, my friends who go for interpretation, and they pay you bomb, literally, because for these foreign clients who come, they need a translator, they need one interpreter. So if they want to get connected to someone here, and even for Mandarin is so much in demand. Of course, right now the relations are
Mm.
little
Tensed.
complicated between India and China, but otherwise, they, like, normally also, we all know everything. Most of the things that we use in our household comes from China. So for business perspective, these language interpretation has so much of scope, because even if you go for 1 hour, they pay you so high. And not just from career perspective, but also if you are interested in literature, there are so many options for translation, where they would want to translate books to different languages, or translate
Mm-hmm.
French to English or French to Hindi. So that
Mm-hmm.
way I see a lot of scope here. And lately, I mean, in this COVID scenario, I have observed that even on LinkedIn, when I'm just scrolling, I see there are so many openings for these particular positions, because companies also don't want to uh, pay for two different people. They would see how we can reduce our
Mm.
cost, like cost effectiveness, if we can hire only one person who knows this also and who knows this also. So it's cost effective for companies also. So of course, if you know the foreign language, and if you are in the right direction, like if you find the right company, then it's a, uh, mm, add
Wow.
I mean plus for you
Plus
only,
plus.
because you will get all the benefits that two different people were getting. So yeah, it's quite helpful.
What is the bracket of bracket of income that the translator or a language language teacher gets? Because when you said that
uh
the people are are needed in translating and they get paid bomb, what is like the bracket of income that they can generate?
I mean, it differs. So I can't tell you specifically how much, but it differs. So for translation, they generally charge per word. So
Per
per
what?
word they
Per
charge.
Per word?
Word. They charge per word. So if I'm translating one page and say there are 100 words, not 100, I think at least 200 words on one page, then per word I can charge an amount. Yeah,
So
so that
that
goes,
depends on you how much you want to charge.
that exactly. And no, I mean that depends on your
Experience.
level of French also, experience also, like your qualification, your experience, that depends on that, and depends who is the person who's paying. Of course, if it's like a big company, they'll be ready to pay you. So that's how it goes for translation. For interpretation, it goes hourly basis. So if I am with your client for an hour, then I would charge you on hourly basis. So that's how it goes. But
So it
there's
is
a
very
lot of scope,
subjective.
because
I
it is
I
very
don't
subjective.
intend to know what you earn. I'm just want to know the median. If somebody like same profession as you, but probably who is has is 27 or 28 at that age. So how much that person can earn? It thoroughly depends
it
on that
it
person.
is, yeah, it thoroughly depends on that person. And it also depends what is the purpose, like what are they translating, for what reason are they interpreting. So like it depends on that. And if you are like working, then of course it is salary based, where you are working full time at some MNC. So I mean, it is very subjective. There is no particular band that this is that something that you will earn. And see, it depends on you also up to a certain extent, because I mean, I've had people around who are still looking for jobs. They didn't find one. So it is not very widely available. Because it's a niche field. Very few and limited companies are here who want to hire this particular resource. So it's a very niche field. If you get into it, you are going to be like you will enjoy all the perks, I can say. But until and unless you don't get into that zone, it's a bit difficult. So the perks are very very good, I can say. The perks are very good, but before going there, before reaching there, you need to do like you need to hustle a lot to reach that. So this is what I have learned from my experience. Because when I just finished my studies, I started with translating a YouTube web series. Like I got a contract for translating a YouTube web series. So that was like my first ever work experience, and I was very happy ki, oh, I'm translating like a YouTube web series. So I was very happy with that. That was my first like experience. After that, I worked with Kalki. You must be knowing Kalki Chekia.
Yeah.
So she is an Indo-French artist, and
What
I
artist?
got Indo-French artist.
Acha, Indo-French, no?
She has like a French passport. Her parents are French, but she's Indian, like that. So she's born and brought up in India only, but her background is French. So
We will get to
I
that
got
later,
an
but just excuse me.
yeah,
When you say
yeah,
that
yeah.
people approached you for the translation of a French series and they offered you a contract, in case you need any legal assistance, do contact me for that.
Of course, of course.
Wow. Yeah. So before we move to that Kalki part, the place where you're working right now, what is the role? Like your job title is, what is your job title and what is your job at that MNC? Like, is it purely
So
language
I'm
based
working.
job, or it is you're hired because of your economic background also?
Yeah, so basically, I am working as a project manager here, and it's a French MNC, and basically we promote French trade shows in India. So we take Indian exporters to French trade shows, which happens across the world, like Canada or Paris or Algeria. So two different places wherever our shows take place. So basically, my role is to be the mediator between the Indian exporters in particular field. So I look after agriculture, aerospace, and agricultural machinery. So these are like my three domains that I work under. Food, of course, food machinery also, food machinery, agricultural machinery, and aerospace. So these three sectors that I work on, and I contact the Indian exporters who are into this field, and take them to our show.
Wow. So you, oh, I mean, wow. I mean, well, the only words I right now I have with me is wow, because nobody can imagine that just because you know French, you are now working as a project manager at such complicated industries. When you talk about aerospace, it is so complicated. It's not easy to understand. No, not at all easy. And the other industries as well.
Definitely. So
Wow.
it's actually very like I told you, once you get into it, you will enjoy the perks, but you have to hustle before you reach there. So if you are a fresher and you have to look for jobs, it's not that you will find it immediately, because it's a niche field. You will find very rare opportunities, and the one you will find would be amazing. So to find that is a task for everybody, for newcomers also, and for those who are experienced also, because I mean, if it is totally on your effort, how efficiently you are searching for it, and also on your luck at some point, because you might end up in a normal company, and you won't get what you expected. So it depends on how well you filter your expectations, because if you need something particular, you wait for it and you have to be patient until you get it. So that is how it changes. So for me also, I mean, this is my third job. Like I told you, first I did this small contract for a YouTube series, then I worked with Kalki, and then I came to this. So here also I've been here for almost more than 1.5 years now. I joined in 2019. So I'm quite happy here also right now. And I'm looking forward to bigger things, uh, to
So
see where I have to go.
your schedule is, if I'm not wrong, it is completely packed to the very inch, because you are working for an
Definitely.
MNC. You are also teaching French to the kids and adults, and you are also doing, if I'm not wrong, some art related teaching as well.
Yeah, that is not consistent, but it depends when I find time and when I want to conduct workshops. So in the weekdays, of course, I have my office work from
Hmm.
morning till evening, and in late evenings, I have like a few classes on 1 or 2 days in the weekday, and then most of the other classes are on weekends. So my schedule is completely packed. I agree. I mean, it's difficult to, find time
But
here and there, but
wow.
I'm managing it right now, because I'm able to. Right now, I don't have bigger responsibilities as such. So at this point, I am able to manage it. But of course, here also you have to maintain that balance between your work and your own venture, because
Hmm.
these are two totally different things, and I need um, equal, or equal effort for both of these. I can't compromise on any one. I
True,
can't
true, true.
compromise on my job, neither I can compromise on my venture. So I
Teach.
have to give full attention, give 100% of it to both of it. And that is why during work days, I don't normally take a class. But if it is, late evening, then one day I manage. So that's how I have, scheduled my routine
Hmm.
abhi to.
Abhi to,
Then
right.
let's see how things change or how
Work out.
things turn up. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm aware that a lot of things lie ahead of you. I mean, we'll obviously talk about it in the later part of the podcast. But now coming to Kalki Kochlin. Did I say her surname right? Kochlin, is that how it's
No,
pronounced?
everybody pronounce it as Cochlin, but ideally it's pronounced as Kekla. This is the French pronunciation, Kekla.
Keklan.
So la Kekla.
Okay, French.
Kalki Kekla. Yeah, that is how you pronounce it in French. Like that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. But in India, we all call her Kalki Kochlin.
So before you give me the details, I'll tell you the day. It was in 2019, if I'm not wrong, you met her.
No, I
2019.
worked with her in 2018, like
No,
since
no, I mean
2018.
the year you uploaded the photo with her on Instagram. That was, I guess,
I
2019.
uploaded the
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I uploaded the photo long after, but
Yeah, long
like
after.
I've met her a lot of times because I
Right.
worked with her. So
So
yeah.
when I saw that pic, and I was shocked. Ki, what are you doing? I got so curious at that point. Ki, I wanted to know what you're doing, that you have suddenly, have a photo with Kalki. My first assumption was that you have probably moved to like the series or the Bollywood industry, where you're trying to some work related to closely, which is closely associated with actors and actresses. But then when I contacted you to come, and I told you that we'll be talking about Coach Lynn, that is when you told me about how closely you worked with her. So tell me about, first of all, how did you manage to get that PR job with her, and what was it like knowing and hanging out and working with her?
She is a sweetheart completely, because I mean, I this was like the first ever experience I had ever met someone who's like famous. So for
Yeah.
me, it was like I'm gonna work with her. So it was like a very big deal for me, because I had never met, and of course, like normally we don't meet such people, and we don't get to know them personally or closely. So for
Hmm.
me, it was quite a big deal. So I got this opportunity through a French hiring this thing only, hiring organization. But at that time, they didn't tell me that the interview was for this. I knew the role, but I didn't knew that I was supposed to work for her. So
Uh,
uh, for the first interview, when I went and I was sitting out, I didn't even know that she would be there right in, and I am supposed to give the interview for this particular actress. Like they had just mentioned that it's for
uh,
an Indo-French artist. Now, artist, I was like, okay, maybe it might be someone Indo-French artist. So when I
hmm.
went for the interview, I was like so surprised, and I was like already, because it was an interview, and that was like my first ever interview. So I was very nervous already, and when I saw her, I was like, oh my god, is it for her? Then I mean, it was so shocking, and it went really well. She was also very sweet and polite, and she saw the confidence and in me, and she was very impressed with that, and she saw my background, and she wanted someone who could speak French as well, because she is Indo French, so she gets someone for this particular position had to coordinate with the Indian media as well as French media. So someone who would know French also fluently. So she was looking particularly for someone like that. So looking at my background and confidence and my overall personality, she was happy with it. So, and I also didn't think much. I just gave the interview, and I was very happy to meet her, of course, but I came back. And then after a few days, again, I got a call that, okay, you have to go for the second interview. And I was like, okay, so is it at the same place? So, that person told me that it's at her residence. You have to go there for the second round of interview. And when I went to her house, she directly told me that welcome to the family. So that was not an interview. She directly told me that you are hired. So I was so shocked that, okay, I came here as thinking as if it is an interview, and she literally told me welcome to the family. And I was
Oh
so
my God.
overwhelmed. I was very overwhelmed, and I was very happy also, because this was my first job and she was my mentor. Constant, like, she would correct me if I go wrong. And I've made so many mistakes. I know I've made so many mistakes, but she had been so patient all through it. And I mean, it was such a wonderful experience. So, I mean, with her, I learned so many new things about that particular industry, because I had no clue about how, the media industry works, or how to manage, how to balance between the Indian media and the French
French
media.
media.
But all through that experience, I was overwhelmed. And I'm still so grateful that I found a mentor like her for my first job. So that was the kickstart to my career, I can say.
Wow. Oh my God. I mean, while you are narrating the story, even I got goosebumps in a while. Okay, the day you went to a
I
residence and she was like,
literally
welcome to the
had
family.
goosebumps.
Shit.
Yeah, that's
Oh shit.
really, this is how it
Oh.
happened. And I was like, I couldn't say a word. I mean, I was just staring at her that, what did you just say? Because I went as if it was an interview, and she directly told me that, now you're part of the team. So I was very happy.
Wow. There are
And
many
I'm so
things
glad that I'm able to share all this, with everybody who would be listening to our
listening to this.
podcast.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Oh my God. I mean, wow, just wow. What I learned from your experience, while you're narrating is that there are a few couple of things that I'll tell you that the stereotype that all actors and actresses are, very arrogant and they are very entitled and they treat people like shit. I'm not denying that such people exist. There might be a few people in the industry, but you being working with her so closely and going to a residence. I mean, first of all, see, why would she invite you to a residence? Because she trusts you enough now. Otherwise, nobody gives
Exactly.
the residence so openly कि अच्छा आ जाओ काम करने करके. And she just, the way she treated you and the way you're narrating that she is a humble person. I mean, that stereotype, I guess it's a very stupid stereotype to make, that just because somebody has a lot of money or is famous, that person is entitled, is like arrogant, like thoroughly arrogant. Hmm. Second thing is, are you still in contact with Kalki, or was it only like work and then you guys parted ways?
No, no, no. Definitely, I'm still in contact with her. So it's not that, you finish work, so you don't stay in touch, right? It's like we've built that kind of relation now, where we speak to each other. And she's very nice. She's like a very sweet person, and honestly, like I don't know many people from the industry, but I've just met her,
Hmm.
and I've worked with her so closely, and I know that she being my first mentor, I'm truly like grateful to her for all the
Hmm.
learnings that she gave me. I'm telling you, it was the kickstart of my career. So
Wow, so the first job
after
itself is, oh my God, oh my God. Oh,
I mean, I never imagined. You think I mean, I ever imagined this while I was doing CA?
no,
I
no,
would have
no.
been stuck with articleship or, giving the attempts for my final CA. I never
Oh,
imagined all this.
shit. No, no. I mean, I believe that, that obvious.
So it's like a complete transformation of my CA journey to what I'm currently doing. It's like a 360-degree turn.
Wow. Like when you worked with her, now this is from my personal side, not that, did you ask her that when you chose the script of Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, why did you choose that role? That because her character was that of a nagging and controlling and insecure girlfriend. So did you even ask that why did you choose that role? Or was that like, no, no, we are not
No.
going to discuss these things?
I mean, I never asked her this, and I mean, I always used to tell her that Ye Jawani Hai Diwani is my favorite movie, and I love your acting in that. So I
Yes,
used to tell her
doing
that.
that.
I've told her that, but other than that, I've not asked her this
Like,
question.
that role suited her perfectly for the fact that the way her character was written, that she is very outgoing and she likes to wear shorts and she is quite independent.
Ah,
For a someone to play from a foreign country would be more apt, and she played it very well. I guess she justified her
she
character. I
played it very well, and like it suits. Like in reality she's a bit different, but like in reality I would tell you that she's very humble, she's
Mhm.
very down to earth person, and uh, she speaks up for all the like she's a feminist, and she's interested in literature, poetry. She would like she is a person who would um, be called as a like activist, or for human rights, and she
Mhm.
uses her platform in a very wise way, I can say,
Mhm.
because being famous is one thing, and using your platform of influencing people in the right direction for the betterment of the society is something that I have learned, or I have observed her doing it, because she supports these things, and she she usually speaks up for feminism. So
Mhm.
all these things, and she is the one who would break the stereotypes. Like she cut her hair so short once,
Mhm.
then she recently got a baby last year. She
Okay.
got a baby girl last year. So again, that is a stereotype that she broke, that in India usually you get married first and then you have a child.
Hmm.
So she broke that stereotype, and
So what different did she do over here?
she she's with a person, but they are not like officially married.
Oh,
So
okay, okay, like live in or
that
some
way,
sort of
yeah,
arrangement.
so she broke that stereotype, right? In
Mm-hmm.
India we always have the notion that you can't have a child before you get married. So she
Mm-hmm.
is a person who would break the stereotypes, and make like ask everybody to open your
Hmm.
perspective. because it shouldn't be limited to your orthodox thinking. And I also like totally agree with that perspective. Like I told you, I want to break the stereotypes in my field, but that is something that we have to outgrow, because it's very important to move ahead and change with time.
True. I mean, I'm so happy for you that you landed your first job at such a huge PR firm. I mean, nobody would have imagined. Nobody. I mean, I totally believe when you say that it is unbelievable for you to imagine that you would have landed a job at with Kalki when you decided to be a French uh, teacher.
Correct.
Vani, this is a personal question. I have my own reasons to ask that. I am a lawyer and I have uh, worked or interned at family courts where the divorce rates are going up. Okay, in India. I also have criminal lawyers, my seniors, who worked in family court. They also concur with the same thing that there is a lot of, uh, you know, the relationships are breaking up and, people are getting afraid to get married and people don't want to do this and that and everything. And last year when you posted this, your photo that you got engaged, it came off as a shock to me, not because we weren't in contact, for the reason that we are still 23 or 22 in that category, in that age group, and such a huge responsibility you decided to take, number one. And also the stats and the facts that I told you before about the divorce, and how the median age the women are preferring to get married between 25 to 27 now. Gone are those days when women would marry between 21 to 24. So
Correct.
what was going through your mind that led you to such a huge step, to take such a huge step and such huge responsibility?
Um, I think I don't want to call it a responsibility. I mean, I want to say, of course, there will be added responsibilities, because getting married not only is that you live with one person, but you also manage the family with you. So it would be a responsibility, but I want to look at it as the positive side, look at it as the bright side, because this is my personal opinion that I want to settle down. I mean, I've finished my studies. I'm working, and even my fiance has finished his studies and he's working. So we've both dated for quite a long time, and now we believe there is no reason for us to wait for not getting married, and whatever we want to do ahead can be done together also, and that would make it even more stronger in its impact. So we both want to settle down early for various reasons, I can say. One, like I told you, that whatever our future plans are, if I do it alone, he does it alone, it's going to be different. But when we do it together, the impact is going to be much more greater, whatever our plans are. And I mean, the thinking has been changed over the years, where people want to, enjoy and then get married aram se whenever they feel that now we are ready. But I believe that you can enjoy even after getting married. It's not that you are going to be put in a jail and you can't, go out, or you can't do whatever you want, because even after getting married you can study, even after getting married you can work, even after getting married you can still meet your friends. It's not going to
Hinder.
be a constraint for you.
Hmm.
So I mean, I am blessed to have a family who is so open-minded when I'm going to be married, because they have told me that if you want to study, you can study further. If you want to work, you can work. It's going to be as I am. I mean, it's going to be the same. What I'm doing here, I'm going to do there. But there, of course, the additional thing would be to gain that kind of maturity, and that maturity will come to me after I actually get married. Right now I'm still in that phase where I am preparing myself, and in a couple of months I would settle in. And of course there would be difficulties initially, because girl has to leave her house and go to a new house. And this is something which I'm
Your voice, I can't hear you. It broke down. I guess the battery of your earphones is out. I can't hear you.
now.
Now I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. So, in India, we still follow that pattern where, the girl has to leave her house and go to a new house. And I mean, we are living with it. So, for me, it's going to be quite different, because I have to go in a new house and be a part of a new family, and, uh, you know, uh, take up the responsibilities maturely. But I think I'm ready to do that, because I don't see a reason to wait anymore, because like I told you, I want to do everything that I plan to with my partner, which would make it more fun also, and which would make it more meaningful also, if I have his support, like, right there with me. So and I think other than that, I don't have a reason, because I finished my studies. I've
Hmm.
been working, and overall I feel that I'm ready to do it. So why wait? And I mean, I don't want to go into that notion where they say ki, oh, shadi ke baad things change, and you won't be able to do the same things you do now. But I
Uh,
want to say that why not? Of course
why
you
not?
can do, you can do whatever you want to
Wish
do
to
in your
do.
career, or overall. So
Hmm.
uh, it is totally subjective. I mean, this is my perspective, but there might be contrasting opinions. But for my uh, life, I think I want to settle
Settle
down
in.
early. So in my 30s, when everybody would be newly married and getting into that zone, I would be like, oh, I am settled. I mean, I'm like restarting my career, or now I am like expanding my career, or
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
that would happen in my 30s, because I'm settling down early. So that's how I'm looking at life right now. But I don't know what's in store in the coming years, but I'm being positive about it.
No. Wow. I mean, this is see, we are of the same age, okay? And to come to to hear this from you, uh, I mean, you sound very confident and mature about the fact that okay, now you have totally decided, and you won't regret it in the future. के जल्दी कर लिया था, ये हो गया था. So as said, there is
And
no
this
other
is
reason.
completely like my decision. It's not that family is pressurizing or something like that. I mean, families are fine with our decision, but this is what me and my fiance, we've been thinking that now is the time. So I mean, there is no question of delaying anymore, because it also depends on how much time you've spent with your partner, how well do you know him or her, and like, do you see yourself settling down so early? So there are various questions that you need to answer to, and you need to ask your own self. But in our case, I think we both are quite confident, and we look forward to, attaining the maturity of making a family, or taking up the responsibilities. So that way you need to be firm, and it's subjective, depends on what you think, what your partner thinks, and then together you make a decision. So I would say it's not a family pressure, but it is
Wow.
completely like our own decision that now we want to settle down.
That's kudos to you guys to think it out yourself that you want to settle down, and not not succumbing to some external pressure के parents से बोला इसलिए करते हैं, या everybody is doing, that is why we'll do. Kudos to you guys, hats off, man. I mean, I can't comment anything on this, that are there any doubts or family pressure, something like that. You made it very clear that this is what it is, and I'm ready for it, up for it, and that's amazing. Yeah. So what how do your friends feel about this, when your close friends who are who must have known that you're already dating him, and now that you're willing to settle down, because they are also of the same age, and I
Yeah.
don't know if what is going through their mind, but you are definitely in at a stage where you're more mature than your peers, I would. So that is why you're settling, that's the reason. So how did they react, and how did they feel about it?
They were like, of course, I am the first one in all my groups to get
Yes,
married,
yeah.
because everybody is still either studying, or either they just started their job. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I am the first one in most of my groups where I'm getting married. So,
Definitely.
they are all surprised also, and they are happy also, because they kind of expected that, because over the years they have seen me, and they know how like committed I was. So they kind of expected, and other than that, they also knew that our families know about it. So it was not that
It was like a
we hid it.
secret. Hmm.
Yeah, we hid it or something. It was very open even to our families. So in that case, they kind of expected that, sooner or later this is going to happen. But they all are pretty happy. I mean, they were surprised, but they kind of expected it coming soon.
So did they know about your engagement beforehand, or was it the Instagram post that just blew up? And because that the other way, the first photo that you posted, that roka ho gaya, and I saw that pic, there were like over 100 comments. Congratulations, 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 party. Where is the bachelorette? This, that, everything. So was that you telling it out publicly through Instagram, or the people knew beforehand also?
No, my close friends already knew. My close friends knew about it. But of course, when I'm posting it on Instagram, it's like a shock to,
Obviously.
everybody, because like there are so many followers, more than like 1,000 followers. So everybody doesn't know about it. They knew that I'm dating, but getting engaged is like a big thing. So, of course, it was a surprise for most of them, but my close friends already knew. And
Hmm.
in fact, they kind of like, helped me plan it, and all of that. So
Wow.
my close friends knew about it. Now it's the wedding bells that are ringing. So in a few
Hmm.
months, so now
So,
we are all busy with the prep for that.
So that is what lies ahead of you. You intend to get married in the next 2 or 3 months. Wow, congratulations on your wedding. And I mean, I guess I'm late. I mean, I am late. I don't guess it. I am late to wish you, congratulate you on your engagement as well. But I'm happy that what you guys are having, that, you're quite serious and voluntarily taking this. Wow. Now, I mean, I've seen his photo. I mean, I've seen the photos as well. I really like his smile. He's quite, he has got quite an innocent smile, I would say. And plays a
I will
musician.
make him watch this episode, especially this part where you say this.
No, I mean, it's nothing that I shy away from, even though, I'm complimenting on what his smile is or the way it looks. But he has really got an innocent smile, and he seems like a sweetheart as well. And congratulations to you guys.
Thank you so much, Manan. Thank you.
And Vani, thank you for your time. Thank you for accepting the invitation to come on this podcast and being so openly, telling about everything that you have been through, in the past 4 or 5 years. And I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. You held no horses back about okay, nahi, ye nahi bolna hai, or this is not the topic that I want to touch, or this and that. In fact, you gave me more input to talk on. I did not expect that. I expect that it would go like for 1 hour 15 minutes or something, but I guess it is 2 hours and more than 2 hours. And thank you for your time. Now I am stopping the recording.